I thought it might be fun if I actually tell you how all of this started. So Neil and I have been here for about 16 years now. This was my dream garden. I wasn't too fussed actually about the house. I just wanted a garden that was large enough for everything that I wanted to grow, and we found this house. Now, once we'd got the garden into shape, it did take us a few years to get it into shape. We then thought it is such a shame that apart from friends and family, nobody else can see the garden and the hard work. So for a little while, we opened the garden for charity, and people would come round and have a look at all the plants in the afternoon. And that was when a florist came round and said, had I considered selling some of my stems? She would love to buy them for her weddings. Now, I had never thought of that before. So we thought, why not? We'll give it a go. I was working full time. It was just a little bit of extra pocket money. So that's what we did. Now, word did get around quite quickly, and before you know it, we had a lot of florists. We had florists driving all the way in from London, and it got very busy around Wednesday, Thursday time, which is that weddings are on a Saturday. So that's when everyone wants to pick their flowers up. And working full time, it was difficult for me to answer the phone and tell people what I had. So a florist said to me, you really should just go on social media, go on Instagram. You can show everybody what you've got growing and flowering in your garden that we can have this week. We can just look at your Instagram, send you a quick email to reserve it, and that will take a lot of the hassle out of the way with you trying to explain in your garden what actually you have. So I was very hesitant at first, but I thought, why not? I'll pop it on Instagram. They can all have a look, and then they can only ring me or email me if they see something that they want. And then something really unexpected happened. Some of the florists had brides that didn't want the whole wedding done for them. So they were quite happy to do the buttonholes and the bouquets, but they wanted to do the wedding flowers themselves. So they started to send the brides to us to pick up buckets of flowers for themselves to arrange. So we started to do that, and then sharing that on Instagram. What then happened was that the brides would come to us and say that they wanted our flowers for everything. So would I arrange the bouquets and buttonholes? So at that point, we're starting to get quite busy. I had to make a decision whether to go with this, and as it's flowers, and I really should be doing that if that's what's in my heart, or whether I should stick with my job. So we decided to take the plunge. Why not? I gave up my job and I started doing wedding flowers full time. Now, selling flowers to florists tends to be quite last minute because they already have their colour schemes that they've settled with their brides. They already have their wholesale orders in place. They're just looking for some knockout blooms to just really lift the whole display and make them look more individual. So they only really need to have a look at your Instagram a week or two out to get an idea of what you've got. However, when you're doing wedding flowers, that for the brides, that is a whole different kettle of fish because they will book you a lot earlier. You then need to be growing the flowers that they want throughout the whole season in readiness for them to be ready for their big day. So that means there's a lot more sharing on Instagram just to explain that you have got their seeds in, you are growing them, this is what they look like, and then also to have plenty of videos to share for those that are getting married the next year so they can pre-book their wedding with you knowing what you're going to have. Now, this is where it started to get really interesting. In order to grow the best plants you possibly can, you need to have the best seeds. So you need to not be messing about with patchy germination. You need really good seed that germinates quickly so that you don't miss your sowing window. And your sowing windows are so important because plants need different conditions for germination and for growth. Some are light sensitive, so if you sow them too early or you sow them too late and miss your sowing window, then they won't be the vigorous, vibrant plants that you were expecting. You've got to get your sowing windows right. And a lot of information went out on Instagram and other social media channels, and people were fascinated and wanted to know where I got my seeds from and when exactly I sow them so that they could follow along and grow along with me. Now, as my seeds are professional grade seeds, you can't buy them. You have to order them in especially. So all we started to do to begin with was just order extra with our own order so that we could package up a few parcels to send to people that were asking for them, and then we would share them out, and then I would show you how to grow them on Instagram. So I came up with the word grow along. I come up with words like this sometimes. Neil calls them Zoeisms. So, for example, Leggy Linders, we just call them Linders now, don't we? Mini greenhouse with zips, it's a zippy. I come up with these things, I'm sorry. But anyway, grow along means that I will sow them, you sow them exactly the same time, and then I'll show you every single step that I do along the way. So that's where it started. I started to share my seeds with a few people, and it's just grown from there. So it's now really exciting that there are enough of us that I can order enough seeds and speak to the breeders and get them to do bespoke mixes for me. So just for us. And I can ask them to do that and then send them to you. They also send me samples all the time. I'm so lucky. So I get these samples, we try them, and when I find a real good cracker, then I can then share it with you. And the grow along and all the trials, and then also looking after the garden and running the shop has basically taken up all of our time. So I don't have time to do the wedding flowers anymore, but I do have time to do some arranging with you. So there you go. A complete and utter accident. This was never meant to happen. But I'm so glad it did, and I get to garden every single day, and I get to garden with you. So the season is just about to start again. We've got our autumn jump starters, so we have a jump start on the season, and those plants are doing really well. Hopefully it won't be too chilly over the next couple of weeks. And the new seed packets are behind me. The shop opens on Saturday morning, so before we do anything else, we'll make sure we ship your orders super pronto, get the seeds out to you, and then we can get all excited and do the grow along together.